Hello, history detectives. My name's Kath, and I'm very glad you joined me. Now, history isn't just found in books. There are clues everywhere if you know where to look. Now, we're all a bit stuck at home at the moment, aren't we? But one thing we are allowed to do is to go out for a walk. So I'm going out and about to look for historical clues in my local area. I'm just going to call Henry and see if he wants to come with me. Hello, Henry. I'm going out for a walk to look for history clues. Would you like to come?
Oh, I'd really like to do that, Kath, but Mum says that I've got to stay in because I've got a cold. Hey, you know what? Why don't I look stuff up on the internet for you and do all the research? I could be like your backup team.
There might be some historical buildings where you live. Maybe there's a castle or an old house or a palace. In Richmond, which is near where I live, there's a castle from the 11th century, an abbey from the 12th century, and lots of buildings, including a theatre, from the Georgian times, the 18th century. But wherever you live, even if your town is a lot newer than that, there will be clues to the past.
I remember what a century is. It's 100 years. But what does Kath mean by 18th century? The Georgians lived in the 1700s, didn't they? Oh, yes. The theatre was built in 1788. How was that the 18th century? The first century started in the year 0. I think we're going to need to use a number line for this. 0 to 100 is the first century, and 100 to 200 is the second century. And so all the years in between, like the year 150, are in the second century. So that's why we're in the year 2021, but we call it the 21st century. Now I understand. The number of the century is always going to be one more than the years in the century. Kath, Richmond started in 1070. That's the 11th century. I think you should start your walk by looking at all the historical buildings around there.
If you're lucky enough to live somewhere where there are some ruins nearby, then by all means go out and have a little look around and see what you can find. There's often really good information to be found at the site or in websites even before you go.
Right, you should go to the castle first because that's what I found all about it from their website. The castle was built, or rather started to be built, in 1071. It was built to control the crazy northern Anglo-Saxons who weren't too keen on William the Conqueror and the Normans taking over their land. It's shut right now, but I think when we're allowed inside again you can run about and pretend you're a knight in the castle. And you can climb up on one of those towers. Now, go to the theatre. Richmond has a lot of very important Georgian buildings in it, including the Georgian Theatre Royal that was built in 1788. It's the oldest working theatre in Britain that still looks like the way it did when the Georgians went there to watch plays. I go and see a pantomime there with my mum every year and it's brilliant. It's behind you. It says there on their website that you can go on a tour and learn all about the theatre and go underneath the stage and try wigs and hats on. Can we do that when lockdown is over, please? Okay, now you have to go to Abbey. That's so old that it's falling down.
So this is Abbey. It was founded or started in 1151, and at that time it was known as the Abbey of St Agatha because of the church next door to it. It lasted all the way for about 400 years until King Henry VIII decided that he was going to close a lot of monasteries, and after that it was left to ruin, as you can see here. But it's a beautiful place to come and visit. We're going to take a small look around it. Come see.
If you haven't got a castle in your town, you can still be a history detective. I bet there are lots of clues that you'll probably walk past many times without even knowing that they were there. I wonder what Kath found out while walking about Richmond.
Sometimes you'll see a plaque on the outside of a house if it's of a particular historic value. This particular one commemorates the site where 4 men were arrested for acting in Richmond in 1652, which was a time when it was forbidden. It was Oliver Cromwell and the Puritans who didn't like acting.
I know some other signs you might see. House names can give you a clue as what they used to be. This one was a school, and they made beer here. If you look up above modern shop fronts, you can often see all sorts of interesting things that you never knew were there. This is an old Victorian market in Richmond. The date above the door shows it was built in 1854. That's the 19th century. There are dates above lots of buildings, houses and shops. What's the oldest date you can find, history detectives? We'd love to see what you can discover. I've got an idea, Kath. Try and find a postbox.
Postboxes are a great source of evidence for us history detectives because each of them has got a mark that tells us which king or queen was reigning when they were made. This one, as you can see, has got ER on it. Now that stands for Elizabeth Regina, which means Queen Elizabeth in Latin. You can also see there's a little 2 here because she is Queen Elizabeth II. Because our Queen has been on the throne for almost 70 years now, most of the postboxes you see will have ER2 stamped on them. But you might be lucky. Sometimes you'll see GR, which is her father, King George VI, or possibly, even if you're lucky enough, one with VR for Queen Victoria. Postboxes were first made in the reign of Queen Victoria, so that's as old as they will be. Look what I've found. This is a very old letterbox. The initials VR mean it was built in the time of Queen Victoria. So it must be at least 120 years old. However, this one is no longer being used for letters. Look what happens in it now. There's a bird's nest. But a very short way away from this Victorian letterbox is this one that's in use now. ER for Elizabeth.
Hey, history detectives. Next time you're at a postbox, take a look and see which queen or king's initials are on it. ER, GR or VR. What else is there to discover in Richmond, Kath?
Richmond had walls built around it in about 1312 to protect it from Scottish invaders. Now the walls themselves are very thick. It looks to be about 2 metres thick here at this point. And of course some people needed to get in and out, and so there were gates in order to do so. This one's called the Bar Gate. And the wall stretched all the way around. It doesn't now, it's been broken down. But there's still places you can see them.
Oh, that looks interesting. What is it?
This is likely to have been a storehouse. You can see that door that seems to be floating up in the air there. Well, that would have opened. The bags of maybe grain or something like that would have been pulled out of there on that winch, and then using the ropes they would have been lowered onto the carts. And the carts would have come from between that archway there. You can see that's big enough for a horse and cart. And the sign here tells us that it is stables.
Is that a pub? I know why you're showing me that. My dad told me that in the old days, when not many people could read, shops put picture signs or hung something outside to show what they sold. That pub has grapes because you make wine from grapes.
This is the old Friary in Richmond. It was founded in 1258 and it was on land given by the Lord of Middleham, who was called Ralph Fitzrandall. And he's commemorated on the name of this pub over here. So names of things like pubs and streets and even areas can all give us clues as to what was going on in the history of the place. Ooh, a postbox.
Kath, why don't you go and look for a church? They can be very old, and I bet that our history detectives have one near them that they could look at for clues in there.
This is St Agatha's Church, and it's right next door to Easby Abbey. It's even older than the Abbey is, and dates from before 1100. It's in very good repair though, as you can see, and it's still used for Sunday services. Graveyards are a really good source of finding historical dates. Some of them are from hundreds and hundreds of years ago. So I'm going to take a look around and see what I can find. Now this one is really quite old. I can see here that this man, John Outhwaite, died in 1885. And he was 82 at the time, which was very old age for that sort of time. Now the problem is that some of them are so old it's very difficult to read the inscriptions anymore, like on these. But if you have a good search around in the graveyard of your local church, I bet you will find some very old ages. This one's 1887. And again, this one here. So we've got George Spedding, who died in 1857, aged 78. But his wife was 95 when she died in 1872. So again, this is a lovely way of going and finding out about the history of where you live.
Nobody will mind you going in, so long as you are respectful, because they are special to people who go there. I've had another idea, Kath. Sometimes there are war memorials in churches or towns. Can you find any?
Most towns and even small villages have a war memorial, usually dating from the 1914 to 1918 war. Go and have a little look if you can find one where you live. They will tell you the names of the soldiers, sailors and airmen from the village who died in the various wars. You're likely to find a lot of names under the 1914-1918 war, sometimes several from the same family. It will mention the regiments they joined and the conflict they died in, all of which historians can use. Henry, have you ever seen windows like these which have been bricked up? These are a really good clue for history detectives. Throughout the Georgian times, there was a window tax, which meant you had to pay according to the number of windows on your house. Now this was quite fair because if you were rich, you would have a big house with lots of windows and have to pay lots of money. Whereas if you were poor, it was likely that your house was very small and had not many windows on it. It was obviously a bit too much for this house though, because look, they bricked up 1, 2, 3 of their windows so that they wouldn't have to pay so much. It's quite common on Georgian houses because a lot of people wanted to avoid paying the money. Look, this house here has had one bricked up, there between the 2 red doors. And so has this white one here, just up there underneath the winch like we saw earlier.
I know what that is. See how the pavement is really high up? That's because it was built in Georgian times, because the roads down below were very mucky from horses and carts. The steps are for if you needed to come down to cross the road.
Look out for places in your town that are being used for different purposes. This housing estate used to be an army barracks. This, for example, used to be the guardhouse where you had to report to when you came on in. Other buildings which are commonly used for different purposes include schoolhouses, like this one, which is now a hotel. Can you see the bell above the entrance? Also, chapels and churches are commonly turned into houses or restaurants, or like this one, where the Richmond Operatic Society rehearse.
Kath, I found something really exciting. I was doing research on the internet and I discovered that there was a Roman fort and town at Catterick near Richmond. It was important for the Roman army because it laid on the main Roman road from the south of England to Hadrian's Wall in the north, which kept the savage Scots out. Archaeologists think it lasted for about 4 centuries. There would have been lots of items discovered, like Roman coins, walls of buildings, and skeletons? They think that the large banked earth was part of the amphitheatre, which was a large area for public entertainment like gladiators and fighting, executing criminals and public meetings. There's not much left now, but if you use your imagination, you can imagine what it must have been like there when there were Roman soldiers marching across the fields, which are now, of course, a racecourse. Kath looked like she was having fun. What a great idea to look for clues when you're out walking or shopping. You can do it every time you go out with your mum. And she stops and talks with her friends and they can talk forever and ever and ever. I'm going to give Kath a call and find out how she got on.
Hi, Kath.
Hello, Henry. Thanks for all your help. I had a lovely day out, but it's a shame you couldn't join me. Richmond's a beautiful town, and I'm sure our history detectives have interesting things in their towns too. So, what did we learn today?
I learned that clues are everywhere if you're a history detective. There might be in a historical building like a castle or a theatre, but even newer buildings might hold some interesting secrets. You have to look up for clues like signs and other unusual items. Try places that you don't normally look. Postboxes and graveyards are great sources of primary evidence. That's the history from the actual time. And the names of the centuries are always 100 years more than the years that they're talking about. So the 1700s are the 18th century, and we're living in 2021, meaning we live in the 21st century.
Well done, Henry. So the activity this week is to go out and look for clues. Find a postbox and check if it's ER or older. And look for the oldest date you can on a building, gravestone or wherever. If you can take a photo, you can post it on the PTTV Facebook page. We'd enjoy seeing them.
We'd love that. And to see who our history detectives are. Well, that's all we got for this week. High five, history detectives. We'll see you again soon. Goodbye.